About a year ago, I decided to up my clamp game and start buying these Bessey K model clamps. I have an issue I'm not real happy with Bessey about right now, but it made me decide to look around for another option. I found these Breman here at Harbor Freight, and so they look very similar, but they're significantly cheaper. So I wanted to find out, will these work just as good as the Besseys, or, what am I going to have to give up to get that cheaper price? All right, before I make you sit around for a bunch of stuff, this is what we want to see is how well do these clamps clamp? Well, with the Bessey here, something I found when I'm doing glue ups, I can't just grab it and slide it forward. You have to grab the handle and kind of lift down on it and push in. This Breman, boom, right there. Now these are both Acme threads, and this got the same pitch. So when we turn and turn, we're actually moving the same amount forward, which is actually going to be converted into the same amount of force. So we are going to get the same amount of force when we screw these in on both clamps. However, on the Breman, we have more threads than we do on the Bessey, which means like when these really crooked boards like this, over here on the Bessey, I'm about to run out of thread, whereas I still have another 1/4 3/8 inch of thread I could tighten up here. So if you have something that's got to move a lot with the Bessey, I find that I have to, squeeze it back in, then screw it out. Then I have to grab, because you have to pull down, retighten up, and then retighten. So it's a little bit of a process. So these Breman, these are rated for 1,700 pounds. These are 1,300 pounds. Well, because it's got the same thread and pitch, whenever I squeeze this and squeeze that, I am getting the same exact amount of force because I'm tightening these both up as tight as I can by hand. And so these clamps are performing exactly the same as far as pressure right now. Okay, you can see that there is a space up here at the top where the jaws are not at a 90 degree. But as I start to tighten up, now, the more I tighten, you see there's a gap now growing at the bottom, and it's touching at the top. And all that is these jaws are going to move some. So they start with an acute angle, and then as you tighten them up, they will go to exactly 90, and then they'll go slightly obtuse. And as you see, we've got about a 1/16 of an inch down there at the bottom with the Bessey. And as you can see, we have the same gap with the Breman as we did with the Bessey. But once again, as I start tightening up, now we're at a perfect 90 right there. And then if I keep tightening, you'll get to where there's just a small, well, you can't see it because the Brennan's got that's what it is. It's got this little tab that comes out on the top so that when you put the little pad on, it's smooth across there, whereas the Bessey is flat. So I can see it here. There's almost the exact same amount of gap. All right, so you can see right here, this is tight. And then down here, we've got about a 1/4 inch gap between the Bessey and the bar. The Breman, the jaws are about a 1/4 inch taller. They both claim to have the exact same 3 3/4 inch, but the Breman definitely has a larger jaw. These are built a little different. With the Bessey clamp, you have these little pieces of, this is about 2 millimeters thick, I don't know if I'd call it plate metal, sheet metal, with the pin that holds it. The Breman is a solid piece of cast metal here. So this is a big hunk of metal. Now the one thing that I would say that maybe is a benefit with the Bessey is that it's wider, but it definitely, I can bend these with my fingers. Yeah, I mean, you got these pins, so I guess it withstands the force. Now, our mechanism with the Breman, if you can see it up inside of here, there's a spring right here. And that spring keeps the pressure on it to where you can slide it forwards, and then you just pick it up. And then once there's a little bit of pressure here, it locks in. So it makes it actually the usability of just sliding this in and out much easier. With the Bessey, on our rail that goes through the rod here, there's a threaded insert on the top and on the bottom. So that makes it where you have to lift up to slide back and then push down to go forward. It has to be the opposite because the teeth are on the opposite side, whereas this one, they're both on the same. Now, the rods right here are exactly the same width, same height. The only difference is that on the Besseys, they have more of a chamfer. And so the top part right here, where your teeth are actually grabbing in, is narrower, whereas it's a smaller chamfer and it has a greater area to grab, for the teeth to grab in here to move forward. So I've been buying Bessey clamps for about a year right now. I've got a whole bunch of them. And this particular one, this little pin keeps coming out. And so I'm having some issues with it. And that's why I've been kind of looking around. So, I had one of these cards where I just bought some more Bessey clamps a couple weeks ago and haven't even used them yet. And you can see right here on the card, it's got lifetime guarantee, lifetime warranty. So I can give them a little call. Say, hey, I've got these clamps. I've got this one falling apart. I got 10 of them. And out of the 10, only one of them's falling apart. As soon as I started mentioning anything about a problem, they're like, well, they only got a limited warranty on them. I'm like, what? I got my glasses out and got to reading, and I couldn't even really see it with my glasses. But that little kind of, you get super close, you can see that right there. I mean, that print is so small where it says limited sideways that I couldn't even see it with my glasses on. And I've got fairly good vision. These Breman clamps, on the other hand, big letters, lifetime guarantee, ain't no limited or nothing around there. I looked it up. At Home Depot right now, the 24-inch Besseys are $59.97. That's $599.70 for 10 of them without tax. For that same price, I pay for 10 of these Besseys, I could buy 17 of the Breman. I find the Breman has larger jaws. The Breman is easier to slide up and down the rail whenever you're doing clamp glue ups and you got wet glue and your fingers are you just want to kind of, scoot this thing in so you can tighten it out without getting glue all over everything. Whereas with the Bessey, you got to tilt it up and slide it forward, grab the other part. The mechanism, everything I've found about these Breman, the clamping force is exactly the same. The only thing that the Bessey's got going for it is in the end of the handle, it has this Allen key where if you're maybe doing tabletops, which would be on the 50-inch, 60-inch clamps, where you've got a whole bunch of big, thick boards, maybe need to get in there, but for like a 24-inch, 36, 40-inch clamp, I have never had to use this. If you're having to use that, then your boards are already too far out. The clamping force, you're going to be squeezing the glue out, trying to close up the gap in the other spots. So I kind of upset with myself now because I've spent $600 for 10 of these clamps when I could have paid $349 for the same 10 clamps, or I could have got 17 clamps, which would have even been that much better for the same price, and the clamps work better. So I don't know what else to say, all these naysayers out there, but definitely go check out these Bremen clamps if you're in the market for any clamps.